everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to play around with the new Westman Atelier concealer. I'm going to do a review on this concealer and try it on, and let's put it to the test. I'm going to start to apply the Smashbox Photo Finish concealer, and this is just a little sample I received with some purchase, but I do really like it. So let's put a bit of this one on the skin. It does such a great job in smoothing and blurring, and also it does a great job in oil controlling. For my complexion, I'm going to use the Chantecaille Sheer Glow Bronze Face Tint. And if you have been watching any of my previous videos, you will know that this is a favorite skin tint I love to use in the summertime. I use about this much. So the only thing that annoys me with this product is that it comes in a jar and not a pump tube situation. It does look kind of intimidating to begin with, but when you have worked it into the skin, it does really sit down beautiful, and the shade is perfect for me in the summertime. So as I hope you can see, this skin tint leaves the skin. It's very sheer, it just kind of leaves the skin with this evened out skin tone, and it's almost like it's having a bit of a blurring effect on the skin. It is a more of a glowing product, I would say. So I do need to set this with some powder, and also I have the primer underneath to help control my oils, because I do have very oily skin. But I really love this product, it's so beautiful. So now let's jump to the main character of this video. It's the Westman Atelier new concealer, and I've picked up mine in the shade M2. So this concealer is a medium to full coverage concealer, and it's supposed to brighten, blur, and it sets in seconds. And it's supposed to be airy and gives a supernatural finish. It comes in 16 shades, and it's kind of like in 4 categories. So you have light, medium, tan, and deep. So I have M2, so I'm in the medium category. So there's 4 shades in each category, so I have number 2 in the medium. And the M2 shade is described as a light medium with a peach undertone. And I did consider picking up M1, which is a light medium with a neutral undertone, but when I looked at the models, I thought that my skin was more similar to the model in M2, and I don't want my concealer to brighten too much. I like it to brighten just a little bit, but not too much. So this concealer is also infused with some different skincare benefits, like hyaluronic acids and peptides, and something called a vital makeup complex that is supposed to even out your skin tone. And this one claims to have lightened the darker circles under your eyes in 4 weeks. So I don't know, I don't buy, as I have mentioned before, I don't buy my makeup I don't really care about the skincare benefits in my makeup, because I have my skincare on already. I put my skincare on every day, and I finish that up with my SPF 50, but I don't mind that there's skincare in here. I think maybe it's like an extra bonus on top, but I don't rely on this for my skincare. But anyways, the keywords for this concealer is that it's buildable, it's hydrating, and it's brightening. And it's supposed to set and blur in seconds, and I did used this all day yesterday, so I have done a little bit of wear time with this, but it is brand new. I just received it, but I wore it all day yesterday, and what I noticed was that it did last very well throughout the day. So I was very impressed, and it didn't really crease on me. First, when I applied it, it seemed very dry, and I could feel that it had these self-setting properties, if you can say that. It does feel a little bit dry, and that worried me at first, because I thought, some dry concealer under my mature eyes with a lot of texture and fine lines. That didn't sound like the best combination, but it did surprise me very positively throughout the day. It was very light. I didn't feel that I had a heavy concealer under my eyes, and it didn't crease at all, I would actually say, throughout the day. But before we go ahead and put this on the skin, I just want to swatch this next to a few other of my concealers, just to have some shade comparisons. So this is the shade M2. So you can see it's really close to my skin. It's a bit lighter than my skin, but I would say in the winter time, I think this is pretty close to my skin. Then I want to swatch the Natasha Denona High Glam in the shade N8. So there you have this. So this is Natasha Denona, and it's a bit more neutral, and this has the peachy undertone. But they are very close to each other in the shade. Then I have my Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Radiant Skin Concealer in the shade 8 Medium. So there you have the Charlotte Tilbury in 8 Medium. It's actually a tiny bit more light in the tone. And then I have the Hourglass in the shade Fawn. And let's see, this Hourglass is quite old. I think it's gone bad actually. It does have a bit of a funny smell, but for the sake of the swatches, let's try it. So this is the Hourglass. It's actually the lightest of the shades. So you have the Westman Atelier M2, Natasha Denona N8, and Charlotte Tilbury 8 Medium, and the Hourglass one in Fawn. So there you have the shades. Of these four, it's the Charlotte Tilbury is the lightest, not shade white, but it's not so heavy on the skin, so it's the lightest or the most thin texture. So the Westman Atelier does have quite a good coverage, but when you touch the swatch, it does feel quite dry. How can I do this so you can see? And almost powdery. You can really feel these self-setting properties, or these set down or fast drying properties. Compared to the Natasha Denona, it's much more thick in the consistency. This is thicker than the Charlotte Tilbury, but not as thick as the Natasha Denona. And as you can see, the Natasha Denona really spreads out. So not as much coverage as the Natasha Denona, but it's more than the Charlotte Tilbury. You have the Charlotte Tilbury here, and it does feel more thin and light. And the Hourglass is also a very heavy full coverage concealer. but none of the other three feel as powdery and as drying in some way as the Westman Atelier. The Westman Atelier does feel very dry when you touch it and you kind of works with it, but it didn't feel drying on my skin at all day yesterday. Okay, so let's have a look at the component. The component is very beautiful, it's very heavy, it does feel very luxurious. It's kind of a bit of a metal container, I would say. It does look very luxurious and it does feel very luxurious, and it's quite cute actually. And the amount, it is very small here on the button, but I think it says 6 ml and 2.1 fluent ounces, and it will set you back $48. So let's put this on the skin or on the eyes. I don't have a lot of darkness under my eyes. I have a little bit of darkness in the inner corners of my eyes, like I think everybody has. So this is a little bit tight to get out of the container, but so I'm going in with a few dots in the inner corner and just a little bit on the outer corner. I don't really like a lot of concealer. And I'm going in with my River B05 brush. So normally I would let my concealer sit on the skin for about 30 seconds before I start to work with this. But because it's so drying and fast drying, I think I will just go ahead and work with this right away. And normally I apply it also on my eyelids instead of eye primer. It is actually very easy to work with and to blend out with the brush, but it is also beginning to set down just a tiny bit, but very easy and spreads very easily. So I like to blend a bit downwards just to make sure that it's nice and blended into the skin tint. And sometimes I go in with my fingers, but today I think I want to try this little small damp beauty blender. Okay, so the concealer is blended out and just worked into the skin with this little beauty blender. I would say that I think that this is a medium coverage concealer. I can still see my blueness inside, like just peeking through a little bit, but that doesn't bother me. I would rather have them peeking through a little bit and not have too much concealer on. But I think it does give just a bit of a medium coverage. So for the swatches I have on my hand, they have dried down, all of them now. So you can see this was the Westman Atelier M2, and it is actually very dry feeling. The other ones are of course also dried down, they are dry, but still more creamy feeling. This is much more dry feeling. So I would say that when I'm watching the swatches, I'm sitting in front of a window, I'm filming in natural daylight. I think that the Westman Atelier does look like the most dry one on the hand, but it's not like a complete flat matte. It still does have a slightly luminosity to it without any sparkling, of course, but it is a more matte finish than the other swatches. compared to the other swatches is it dries down more matte and it does feel more dry on the hand swatch. But on my eyes, it doesn't feel, of course when I touch it, I can feel that it does feel a little bit sticky right now, but it's dried down, and I would really recommend to work with this right away, because normally, as I said before, I leave the concealer on the skin for 30 seconds or a minute to kind of have it to sit down before I work it around. But this one, it is actually so fast setting and so dry that if you don't work with it right away, I think you have to pull your under eye skin a little bit too much to kind of spread it out, and you don't want to do that. So, but what I see already now is that it's not creasing, like there's no creasing. Like every time I apply my concealer, and it doesn't matter which concealer I apply, every time it's like, even though I spread it out, and even though if I go over it with a damp beauty blender, then it starts to set in the fine lines, and I kind of tap underneath a few times throughout my makeup application. But with this one, I don't have to. It's like it's set down on the skin and it doesn't move around. Even on the eyelids, where I normally would sit down with powder immediately, there's tiny amount of creasing in the eyelid folds, but it's really nothing compared to my other concealers. So I think that drying or setting down properties it's really what helps it stay in place. But you have to work fast, you have to put it on, spread it out, because it kind of dries down. It doesn't feel dry. It's not like when I smile and my skin, the lines are moving, that it feels like drying or anything. I can't feel it's there, but it's like it sets down and stays in place. It's really impressive. So I will go in with a little bit of my Hourglass veil setting powder and just run over my eyelids, but because I want to make sure that they are prepped for my eyeshadow. It is supposed to be a medium to full coverage foundation concealer. I don't know if I think this is full coverage. Of course you could build it up if you want to. I can still see some darkness peeking through, but I feel like it's a medium coverage. So there you have it up close. It is really beautiful. I do actually like it. It's a bit different in texture than what I'm used to work with, but so far I like it. Today I'm going to use this contour wand from Charlotte Tilbury, and this is the medium to deep one, and it's like this squeezy tube, so you turn the cap to open and then you press out some product. And this is pretty deep, so I only use this in the summertime, and I could actually just use this for bronzer. It's a bit more warm toned, I would say, on my skin, or neutral. But it spreads out so easily and so beautiful. It's really easy product to work with. So did you see that? Did you see how easy I blended this out? And I'm using this Refa B04 brush. This is actually one of my favorite brushes. I use it for all my liquid products, my liquid blushes, my liquid bronzer, contour, foundation, skin tints. I really love this brush. Such a beautiful product. So even though this is almost my bronzer, I just wanted to use my Saie Dew Bronze in the shade Spritz. So this is a fairly new product. I have got it in the springtime. It was a new product that came out in the spring. So this is also a pretty deep product, but spreads out very beautiful, and I love the shade. It's very beautiful for that sun-kissed look because it has this slightly reddish undertone. So I'm just applying this a bit higher on my cheeks, just where, kind of trying to mimic where the sun would hit my face. So the forehead is always getting quite dark in the summertime. And this product does also spread out so beautiful. Just want to add a bit on the jawline. I should have done this with the contour, the Charlotte Tilbury contour, but I totally forgot it. But this works beautiful as well. So now my jaw is nice and snatched, and my skin is beautiful bronzed. I'm just going over it with a damp beauty blender just to pick up any excess product and to make sure that it's nicely blended into my skin. And then I'm going to set my entire face with the Hourglass Veil setting powder. So the face is nice and set with the powder. And then I'm going in with one of the new YSL Make Me Blush in the coral shade. What's it called? It's called coral something. It's only the number. It's number 57 that's on the bottle, but it's called Coral Splash or Coral something. But this is a really beautiful, pretty blush. And again, I'm using my Refa brush just to kind of blend this in. So it's just a very light blush on me, but I like it. It's nice and gives me that summery feeling. I know we're moving into fall, but I want to hang on to summer just a bit. I'm not quite ready to let summer go. I love fall also, but in Denmark fall is like this, and then it's over, and then it's just winter and rainy and windy and cold and yeah, just dark and boring. So I'm hanging on to summer a bit more. I'm going over the blush also with my beauty blender just to make sure everything is nice and blended. And do you see how pretty that blush is and how easy it blended out on top of the powder? I have a full video where I make some swatches. I have 3 of the shades and I make a review of this, and this is just beautiful, beautiful blushes. These set down compared to, for example, the Hourglass Unreal blushes. They stay more luminous and like dewy and yeah, luminous, I think it's the right word, on the cheeks. And these set down more drying, which is very nice for a person with oily skin. But it's not like they look drying, they just set down more dry and like more like a powder blush. So it is also described as a liquid to powder blush. So it sits down, but it's very beautiful. And they are long lasting. For my eyes, I'm going to use the Natasha Denona Mini Starlette palette. I think it would be cute, the colors would be cute together with this coral blush. So I hope that it shows on the eyes too. So I'm just going to make a really casual everyday look. I'm going in with the lightest shade on my all over the lid and in my crease. So that lightest shade is all over my lids, and then I'm going in with the deeper shade. It's called Per Se. So this Per Se shade I'm going in with in my outer corner. And I'm going over this with a bigger, fluffier brush just to make sure that it's nicely diffused and blended at the edges. And then I'm going into this shimmery shade called Elixir, and I'm putting that all over my mobile eyelid. Also such a pretty everyday palette, this little mini Starlette palette. I did bring that Elixir shade into my tear ducts. I'm going to add a bit of the lightest shade, the Vega shade, or Vega, under my lower lash line. So my eye makeup is done, and I really think that it matches the coral shade blush very, very beautiful. So very happy with this look. So I'm going to finish up with my brown YSL mascara, and I'm going to finish up with my eyebrows real quick. Okay, so my mascara is on and my brows are on. I use the Benefit My Brow Detailer. It's also a new product and I do like it, but I don't really draw on detailed hair strokes, so for that reason I think I prefer my Precisely My Brow over the detailer. Then I'm going to set the center of my face with my new Fenty Beauty Invisimatte setting powder, and it's just a universal shade. So it comes like this with this little puff, and I do actually use this puff to set my face. I think it's easy. And this powder, as you can see, it really blurs. I only use it in the T-zone, but it's really blurring powder, and also it does really help to control the oils in my T-zone. I'm really happy for this product. It is a little powdery looking for my taste, but the win I get with the oil control effectiveness of this one, I'm willing to make an exception with the powderness. And I'm going to add some of my Caudalie face, what's it called, beauty elixir, and it's almost empty, so I want to use the last part. I know it's not a setting spray, but when you spray these face mist onto your face, it kind of helps with removing some of the powderness to your face. And this one smells amazing. I want to go in with my new lip combo from Charlotte Tilbury, the lip cheat in the Foxy brown shade, and my kissing lipstick in the Runway Royalty. This Foxy brown shade is quite deep to me, so I have learned to go in with a soft hand. But it is actually a very beautiful shade, and also here for a fall time when you want to go maybe a little bit deeper with your lipstick. So there you have the liner, Foxy brown. and the lipstick Royal Runway. You can have, I can swatch this. So there you have it. It is actually also like a peachy pink shade. Very beautiful, and I like this combo, but I need to be careful with the dark lip liner. So yeah, there you have it. That was my makeup and my trying out the new Westman Atelier concealer. And for now, I really like it, and the impression, my first impression from wearing it the entire day yesterday, it didn't crease. And when I look at my eye makeup now, I don't have any creasing. It doesn't look heavy or anything under my eyes. So I really like it. Of course, I will keep playing around with this, and I will keep you updated when I have gotten to know it a little bit more. Yeah, so maybe if you are like around the same shade as I am, this is a great shade. If you like something that's like similar to your skin shade, but if you want to have a little bit more brightening under your eyes, you should maybe go for M1 instead of M2. So that's everything. But yeah, there you have it. That was my review of the Westman Atelier concealer. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you will consider to subscribe and hit the like button and maybe the notification bell. Otherwise, I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.